If you're sick of getting mated against a King's Indian and would like to frustrate their attacking ideas instead, this is the video for you. I'm going to share with you a couple of games where White was able to simply outplay his opponents without taking any risk. It's what the Soviets like to call two results chess, where basically we just make it where either we win or we draw, but we're virtually never going to lose. And this is a line from the Fianchetto King's Indian. It's a bit of a different move order because Black played the move c5. And, we had knight f3, but, of course, this sub can be played in a lot of different move orders as White, right? It's a nice point about having the Catalan approach. But I'm going to be suggesting the line with d takes c5 and then move bishop to e3, which in fact was the recommendation of the theoretician and correspondent I am Nikos Derlis in his book on playing English with White. A very good book, by the way. And one option that is one of the more tricky ones that Black can play, which they might play if they're desperate to win, is the move Chagayev played of b6. And actually, Australia's #1 player, well, not sure he's #1 in the live ranks right now at time I record this, but on the current FIDE ratings, Timur Kubakarov, actually he beat me with this in a training game where it might look like b6 is a blunder because of this winning the exchange, but Black does have a few tricks, so we do have to be a little bit careful here. I think in my game I ended up playing like queen takes d8, which was a little bit limp, honestly. Like just letting Black activate the rook for no real reason. But Aparin plays this a lot better than I did. He goes for the move bishop to c1. Yes, it's a retreat, but on the other hand, queen a4 has the potential to be annoying. Black now plays the move of bishop to f5, just being happy to, again, to trade the queens and have a lot of piece activity. By the way, if they play bishop d7, you just go bishop g2 and, you just kind of, slowly consolidate, like queen c2, eventually you'll kick away their knight and just sort of stabilize the position with normal development from there. Like, nothing too fancy, right? But in the game, Black played bishop f5, and now bishop b7 is actually a very nice little subtlety here. And the point of bishop b7 is, like, let's say, if you went back to g2, which is quite normal, like, Black would just go takes. And then after, like, rook d1, bishop c2, like, Black's sort of getting some quite good counterplay, because it's kind of hard for us to develop our bishop without dropping the b2 pawn in the process. You don't really want to play b3, right? Because then you're going to run into some pretty big tactical problems with the bishop to c3 fork. So the point of bishop b7 is now this is not going to be as effective, because after bishop to c2, rook e1 and rook d8, the difference is that we now have this very clever bishop to a6. So I think even if you're an advanced student watching this video, this might not have been immediately obvious to you. But it means we're able to kick out that knight, develop our bishop, and then consolidate the extra exchange. So it's a very nice way of neutralizing Black's pressure with the pieces. So Black played knight d6 instead. But now we're happy to retreat. Now our bishop can develop freely. And in the game, Black didn't really manage to show full compensation for the material. Like, White is just very stable. No weaknesses. Everything is very well protected, as is often the case in Catalan. I'm not going to show every single move of the game. Like, for example, here, f3 and e4 is probably a little bit of an improvement over what Aparin did, where you kind of end up just, like, forking, and, yeah, that would have been pretty strong. What he did with a3 was still not bad. Like, he still went on to win the game after some further adventures. Like, the nice thing at a3 is it does help you get your rook in the game, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that was basically how this game played out. And now I want to move on to the next game. But before I do, if you enjoyed this video, do make sure to leave a like and also to consider subscribing. And by subscribing, it'll ensure you get my daily videos of, like 5 to 10 minutes each day. And if you are a subscriber already, do make sure to tap that notification bell and set notifications to all. That will ensure you don't miss out on any of my trainings. That being said, let's see the second game. So this second game was played between Sviridov against Svana, and it actually featured a little bit of another weird move order with like playing King's Indian attack move order. So if I was to show you the normal move order, that's something I should mention. The normal move order would be something like d4, playing g3 Fianchetto against King's Indian. Because playing g3 for knight gives you more options against the Grunfeld, basically, is the idea. But if they do stick to King's Indian and you get something like this would be a normal move order where, one sort of little story I can tell about the Fianchetto King's Indian. This is something that Anish Giri sort of said that when facing this opening, like either you have to like get a fighting game like knight d7, knight c6, but you kind of accept that you're slightly worse, or you play a system that tries to equalize solely like c5, but then you don't really get so many winning chances. And you can kind of see on that basis like why I'm suggesting this, because I mean King's Indian players love to attack, and we're just giving him completely the opposite with a symmetrical position with a little bit of a small initiative to work with. Now, black does have a few moves they can try, like they can try sacking a pawn with knight g4, but I'm honestly not particularly impressed by it, actually. Like queen a5, knight a4, and yeah, they can take back the pawn, but even then you still have tricks to kind of keep a bit of an edge as white. Something you can check for yourself if you're so inclined. Also, if they do play a move such as queen to a5 here, yeah, I mean, there's a few good moves you can sort of play here as white, actually. Like, it sort of is a little bit of a matter of taste, but queen b3 is kind of the annoying one, which sort of make it hard for them to develop their bishop effectively. And, if they play, like, knight g4, you kind of just move the bishop away and, yeah, just kind of make the point that, your piece is a little bit better placed than theirs. Now that I think about it, actually, bishop f4 might be at least it's a better scoring weapon, but yeah, it's of your choice whether you go with the better scoring move or, the engine's top line. I leave that choice up to you ultimately. But the most common move in this position for black is actually to copy with bishop to e6. Saying that, okay, if the pawns get traded, there's not really a whole lot going on, just very equal sort of Grunfeld position. But the point is we can play queen a4, and it's not that easy for black to copy us, as the game will show. In fact, black's best bet here might be to play a move like knight d4 and just try to create a little bit of play. But even then, white has like various good options. Like you can play like rook a d1, for example, and I mean you're never really losing this position as white. Your only white can be better. Also, if you do want a more imbalanced position, you can also take and like play this position with the bishop versus knight imbalance and the d4 pawn likely to fall in the next moves. Of course, if black plays all the right moves, they will probably equalize or get very close to equalizing. But that's true of like every sort of serious chess opening nowadays, in fairness. Like, you're not going to avoid that whether you play mainline shortcuts or whatever. But in the game, black instead played the move of queen to a5. And the problem with queen a5, actually, in the game I played a little bit creatively. Like, he played like queen b5, sort of funny move to, try and win a pawn in this kind of way. Saying they don't have bishop takes c4 anymore. That one's kind of cool. You could also just play queen a5 and just, take the pawn directly. I mean, that would also, of course, be very, very nice for white. And it's actually probably the approach I would play in reality. But in the game, yeah, after queen b5, black played queen b4, and that's kind of the reason why I liked queen a5 a bit better. But even with white not playing it in the best way, like, white still had a little bit of an advantage in this endgame. Like, after bishop takes c6, you can sort of see that. I mean, it's probably objectively just an equal position. Like, this is probably not the most instructive game there is. But white still managed to win anyway, despite, not playing it in the best way. But if you do get this, yeah, I would just take and just play this and, just grab the pawn and be better, essentially. One thing actually I should explain before I start wrapping up this this training is that if they do play knight takes c4 and, let's say you're nervous about, something like bishop e7, rook e8, and, maybe, thinking like bishop a3 looks a bit ugly because of knight a3, but I don't want to, let them get sort of the play on the diagonal as such. A fairly effective answer is just to flick in the knight d4 intermezzo, where that way you're not just playing to take their bishop, but you also got the b7 pawn on. And it just turns out your threat's just a lot bigger than theirs here, right? So that's a pretty effective solution. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below. What was your favorite part of this training? Are you going to try this DC5 idea in your own games? Let me know, and I will see you in the next training. Until then, take care.